as we conclude today, we are going to have some 5D mystic channeled guidance with our lovely oracle deck, the mystical shaman. So, the true self spots patterns, personas, and pretenders in fancy suits who perpetuate shame. And as you will have heard in 5D mindfulness, spirituality, peeps and pros spotting the same, well, we can get really fiery and passionate. Why? Well, for a couple of reasons and more, but never good enough to not remember to share. We all have the capacity to be on the right or wrong side of a coin for someone. So, mindfully aware, accountable, and regulating people know how their inner child works as an inner child adult. It's why you bring the forefront, the authentic opinion, the emotion, and anybody who is a grown up in their brain will know food for thought. Okay, so that none of those of us who are chit chatting about different ways of being able to put into practice mindfulness and or spirituality have one spot on right or wrong, right? That's the part of where you'll know if you're a inner growth mindset inclined IHP community member or not. And that's something I try to also remember, that I'm sharing and speaking and guiding and supporting empowered individuals, not the ones who will actively go out of their way to, well, it's actually lack of self-aware people. So I'm just going to leave it to the side. But all the emotions are equal. All the emotions are not good or bad. All the emotions for mindfulness and spirituality, peoples and professionals. So people and professionals who bring forth that which is a 5D frequency, it's an integrated brain. So the beloved. And that's why we don't interact with each other in a way of needing to prove something. We're interacting with differences, and so with heart. And that's why, as a true self, you spot the ones who are not authentically there with the desire to authentically share life with those who are, again, different, which is the casting of stone. So it's a very fine, small line. And I know that those who are their own beloveds, so you're your own lover and beloved, which we've talked about last week or a couple weeks ago, those are people who are a whole inner child. So you're not looking for my thumbs up, anybody's thumbs up. You're enjoying living life, and in this moment you do know about all the changes and everything. And so when we are seeing the true groups, the reason I get very passionate personally is because anytime I see stupidity, thinking of blind ego, and since I was a teenager, I'm like, what the fuck? But again, I got taught how to mind my own business. God, Jesus, mother, teachers, anyone and everyone, because I'm a 3-year-old, you're a 3-year-old. But being able to explain to you the difference between me perceiving disgust, for example, and being able to acknowledge it's Maria's way of feeling and thinking, and not to use it in a room with the individual, is why non-reactivity, no emotion, meaning me in equanimity, makes me not only that which is a 5D mystic, again, with the frequency, but all of that which you will hear about Christ consciousness and the way of bringing harmony, but it's a aka restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating person who's curious, open, accepting, and loving of differences. Because I have a flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable brain, which means it's integrated. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So in the room with somebody who has low self-esteem, I'm a pacha. And as they're insulting me, quote unquote, they're not, because their biological rudeness is of a 3-year-old with a broken heart, a 1-year-old who doesn't know secure attachment, a teenager who thinks they know everything, and I know they don't. And what I really have is a teenager that reminds me of all the teenagers I met who are unkind and actually egoic enough to cast a stone in the absence of completely taking a minute to pause and say, what the fuck am I doing? Am I going to apply my way of feeling disgust, not disgust, because I don't live life a certain on another human being who has nothing to do with me? That's what humbleness is. So when I was casting stones as a teenager, I learned about it. I don't remember what it was. I just said, I'm so sorry. And it wasn't because I was afraid of hell. It was because I was taught, don't cast a stone, Maria. And I was using the word good and bad with that intent from here. So you'll know here. That's where it matters when I use words. I'm not using words without this comes first. You're a first emotional being. You're 3-year-old. So if you got defectiveness, shame, I'm going to know because you're going to come up with some nightmare shit out of your mouth. And I'm going to again, I dealt with the stupid people a long time ago. I said, hey, you got an ego like I do. No, you don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Fine, whatever. Hey, you're crapping on human beings. You're no human, right? No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. And so there you go. I just learned how to say I'm a human. And people would tease me like I'm saying I'm a human because I'm happy to be. I'm proud. I mean, really, there's no other species right now. But even if there were, I'm a human. My human makeup. Jesus was a human. Buddha was a human. They have done beautiful, amazing and my faith is blind because it's a direct relationship. In fact, that I didn't need anything except for, hey, God, well, those people, they're pretending to be you, and they keep using ancient textbooks, and really they're monsters. I don't like them. But they're not scary like Lucifer. I got told what he would look like. He didn't. I don't see him anywhere. I just see people you wanting to use pronouns right now and deciding differently on how to do things, which actually if I go to the Roman Empire times, I'm pretty sure we had a lot of the similar shit. So really it doesn't really change. It's just that we expand. It's thanks to sciences, by the way, and then really so again presenting to the true self. We spot patterns and pretenders. We spot personas and fancy suits. So people who are insecurely attached, they're not their true self. They will look up to other human beings. Textbook Patrick Tiahan shares how he was healing and looking up to people. And he had one, for example, male role model. And that's exactly why the 7 of 14 charming catch my eye in a way of what the fuck. Because I know that they're functioning as role models, but it's for insecure people who are not hearing the ones who can help them to become independent, true lovers, and true sorcerers of their own subconscious, to tap into your 0-1-year-old, 3-year-old, and to become a person who embodies the true inner and outer well-being, because secure attachment is really good and fun because you are in a relationship with every another person with your authentic needs in the forefront, and you're able to be vulnerable from the heart open-heartedly and the mind open-mindedly, and you're able to be a real deal person who has humbleness, who knows how to use the intelligence of an integrated brain, which in fact will give you it'll give away who's an asshole out there. And the assholes, of course, they contribute. They hold a space for those who want to be quote-unquote assholes alongside with them. You know what Robert Sapolsky finds from his research, which is why he may have been really great at doing determined and the whole free will thing, but the reality is his research shows what happens when people are quote-unquote assholes. And really, again, it doesn't ever go against what I learned from God, which is, hey, don't worry, I'm bigger than anyone and I'm the creator. So it's okay. We all know, again, who wins this not war, because that's not even what it is. The whole idea of using those words is a word, and our words, from people who don't know how to use their secondary human consciousness and who use the past to create battle, which makes me think of the fight response, the 16-year-old of every single person who continues to treat humanity and a globe as if there's some battle that has to take place. So while, yes, there are differences, it's not really a battle. It's the capacity to be smart enough, emotionally, mentally, and physically, to know that some will lead with their true self. Others will be a pattern and more, and personas and fancy people in suits. And, well, they're not interesting to a sorcerer or to a beloved, because I love to live and I love to laugh and I love to dance and I love to love. So you get to be on a journey here at IHP. If you want, you come for the membership content to do more mindfulness practices, spirituality, but also you come for channel guidance and you come for funny stories, to be yourself, the wise owl that you can be, with all the fire in the world. Jesus gave me my fire and the Holy Spirit. It actually was a sad day when I got my clairs, because I knew that some people from my human circle, which in fact came to be true, they decided to say that Reiki is a bad energy. So I knew that they wouldn't welcome me, and I was always welcomed in a way of beautiful with the church. So it made me sad, but I didn't get mad. And I also said, okay, well, they serve a purpose, because some people won't be able to fathom what we were talking about because they live with ignorant human beings, and men who perpetuate gender stereotypes, like the fancy man in a suit and the fancy woman. So the masses, they tend to follow what trends and assholes And that's because they're all insecurely attached. And I mean, the reality is, a smart person will know how to welcome differences from the heart versus cast a stone. Because a smart person is stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. So it means they have eyes on their own true self. Thoughts and emotions. The emotions come first, the thoughts come after. And if your thoughts are nasty, then the emotions are nasty, which means you have unkind business going on, which means you have a dysregulated self, which distortion. So you think humanity is yucky and humans are yucky based on your 14-month-old. So noticing your in and out group is really easy for those of us who are in the 5D frequency because we're a human herd. And then we know differences from our past, and we again are smart enough intellectually, emotionally, mentally to not create stereotypes because those are dumb people. And I won't be using these words always, but this is exactly how it felt when I was a teenager. Dumb, 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 stupid, stupid, stupid. So this is why I got taught a lesson. Because it's like, okay, you can't regurgitate material, number one. Number two, they're not all dumb, Maria. Or basically, it was you don't know everything. Thanks, Pachamama. So we are all inner child and children. Some, though, we have a open heart. So we use our blade not with distortion, but with the fact that I have opinions, feelings, and thoughts, and it seems like you're distorting everything based on what you went to hunt and gathered. My hunting and gathering is I present to you who I am with being myself on this lovely planet called Earth. I use my name, and I like to use my own drum, use my own wind, right? So we get to use words differently together, but to be people who rise above the fray when our unconscious stuff comes up. So when you have any of those basic emotions, there's sensations, images, affects, meanings, behaviors. They all come from your child parts if they're not uncharged by your higher self, which is why therapists are good for people who want to get a hold of their soul self, core self, narrative, relational, get out of shame completely, which is why anyone who's talking against it is a dum-dum, like in the museum. So people who follow them, they're not insecure in the way of being insecure. They can speak a lot of words, but they haven't harnessed their inner child and they're not interested in it. Because if they were, then they would know the importance and value of good trauma therapy as well as the value of mindfulness practices. They would also understand, physically speaking, the value of restorative embodiment self, and they would understand intellectually this amazing flow state of neuroscientists, because these smart human beings are all on YouTube. I've learned from, and I'll keep learning from more. So besides being a mystic who is my own witness, again, and then I have my lovely relationship with God, Holy Spirit, Akash, what I can tell you is that when you own your sense of self, observe, witness, narrate, I don't talk about like a robot. I've seen people, yes, like esoteric neuroscience philosophers, and the way they talk about it just sounds so weird. But I talk about it the human way, to give the people who want to be their self, again, spiritual self-help, mindfulness self-help path. Your soul retrieval is first your 1-year-old. Get securely attached, and you're going to have a good time. Because you'll have completed the karma wheel and you'll have moved into dharma. Dharma is because you have a solo self, core, narrative, relational. You own this and you own it open and open. So you would never feel disgusted in a way of casting a stone. You'd be able to acknowledge this disgusts me, which sounds like the same thing, but it isn't. Because when I pause and have the space to be mindfully aware that my ego self is disgusted me, based on my Maria history, I am giving myself the capacity to understand this is your implicit bias, your own emotion, because I'm non-reactive, because I'm not using my emotion charged. Versus the ones who go around and think that they know what they're doing. Mantles of mental health, mantles of spirituality, spiritual bypassers. They're a bunch of, in my book, Cuscos. And anytime I spot one and they're part of my herd, they don't know any better, because I learned wild thing, na 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 na, you make my heart sing. You knew everything, because my mother taught me how to be polite. As I shared the funny story of the decency man, she said, "You didn't tell him you didn't like him." No, mother, no, I didn't. I just didn't talk to him for 3 years, and he chose to pick on me. I did exactly as you taught me, and I still had fun. In fact, I had wild thing. No, I had like, oh bloody, oh blada, life goes on. My lower world was not reactive. And time You master everything. And I've met so many Cuscos in my lifetime. I'm only 44. I'm sure I'll meet some more. And what I really love is when I spot them and they don't know who they are. And I'm like, oh, you're so beautiful. I'm so pretty. Oh, so pretty. Da, 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 da. So when you have no motion, that lady again, she has no idea. We don't have no motion. Wow thing. Na, 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 na. So my beauty way in the ghost dance, that's what you get when you do put it into practice. Okay, so the rainmaker. These ones have a bit of a special meaning to them altogether with the gatherer. Okay, so embodiment of a true divine feminine has that lovely rainbow. Raindrops keep falling on my head, but that doesn't mean da na 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 na. So 5D, our lovely light workers, we're all here with our open minds, divine masculine, our open hearts, and our open guts. That's because we learn how non-reactivity is really great because your chakras are open and expanding. You are both a gatherer and a hunter. You can bring forth the rain and be someone who learns from our ancestors again and brings forth. So we're not ghosts as in we have no contribution to make. It's that we don't feel that our opinion has to be set in stone because it doesn't, because we're all different. So we acknowledge that every person is an angel and that the fallen ones basically want to keep their unresolved trauma and therefore their insecure attachment and dysregulated nervous system stuff. And it's okay. They don't have to move anywhere near the beloveds, but they will be around us. They won't know who they are. We will know who they are. And it's all going to be a good time. Because again, Pinocchio, have fun on that island. I'll see you later. I'll be back. But later, I don't want to become a donkey. You're going to become a donkey maybe. I don't know. We got a squirrel from Cusco land. I got Cusco there. I'm going to go hang out with Pachas, but we'll mingle and tingle. Diego, come on over with Ice Age. Over here with Sid and Manny. We'll leave your family over there with the Pinocchios on the island. And the part about what I've seen, the people with cloaks, they're all of all types that don't marry the spirituality and sciences coming together. So those who are 3D, 4D, again, states of consciousness, beneath neutrality belt is what you want to remember. They perpetuate the shame, blame, fault, revenge, inner critic, outer critic, all of that, which is this regulated nervous system of codependent people. Gender stereotypes, they use the church, the cloaks, all of it. Lucifer, they just pile it all in there. And they will, in fact, use a lot of fascinating ways to present their discourse. I've been thinking of how I'm going to address those to the best of my ability for our community so that we can allow ourselves to continue to share stories of how, well, one, God always wins, but the fallen angels are not falling away of monsters, because that 1-year-old and 3-year-old, really, it's unfortunate business, and our ancestors did have fear of vulnerability due to them. If they were get kicked out of the herd, they were all alone. So our mammalian heritage is really not something funny in the sense that, yeah, I understand why people will dominate with monogamy and monoamory, but the ones of us who are not monoamorous, it's because, well, we're good with our self-worth, you see. And really it's something that it's unique to every person, but the ones of us who respect monogamy and monoamory, well, we appreciate when we find empowered men and women and theys, which we do find more of. My point was of the 1-year-old, though, is that some people have healthy self-worth, secure attachment, and they know I'm not replaceable and I'm not losable. Where are you? Hey. Oh, I'm also not catchable. You're not my dog. I'm not your dog. I mean, really, if you're lonesome tonight, that's not what I'm here for. That sounds like you think it's hard work to keep a relationship going. I'm just going to be myself, Eric, with my tail, and I think you look disgusted, and I think that's not okay. But you keep saying that you like my tail, but I've noticed that you're a liar, but I've noticed you don't notice it because you're left and you're right. So when you meet Cuscos, again, they keep on acting in the way that Cusco thinks he's fooling everyone. Anybody ever meet children? Yes. Okay, so now grow up and become mindfully aware of the way that I'm presenting it to you, and that decent man, he is basically like that. It's not Lucifer. That's why it's not a story. Plus the scientists, that they go out of their way. No, they've been putting in research and more research. So, I mean, it is what it is. Some people just don't want to believe in sciences and they don't want to be flat earthers. And then they want to say that those of us who are over here are not of faith. I'm going to say, no, we're of faith. We're just not from the medieval times. So they can go and build their communes and have fun in the ancient times with their cloaks. And, again, let's wave. Bye, Pinocchio. Have fun on the island. We're going to see you somewhere different. So, again, true self, we spot the patterns. We understand why some people will perpetuate shame, blame, fault, revenge. They don't want to get their whole self on board. And again, it's not a must to be mindfully aware or spiritually aware or accountable or regulating, because really, until recently, we didn't know anything. No, about the 1960s, I think they started to know about our embodied brain with the fight, flight, freeze, flop, drop. Just recently, though, they came up to par with attach, cry, collapse, submit, please, appease. So I know those child safety behavior parts, and then the way people behave. So again, as a mystic, but also as a person who uses logic and continues my education, since I do personal development, self-help, and all that, when I'm around people that are children, I'm like, okay, I'm a feminine, but I'm not going to nurture y'all because you're unkind. I'm just going to make sure to allow myself to smile and nod and wave, boys. Nobody will notice anything. That's right, because their right mode isn't really working effectively. So, hey, anyways, long story short, we make friends with all, and then we build actual relationships with men and women and theys. That means they got real, mwah. I'm so pretty, oh, so pretty. So I love to love, and my baby, he loves to dance, and he loves to laugh, and he loves to live, and he loves to learn, and he loves to accept differences, and humanity is rocking and a rolling. Rocking and a rolling. There's another one that was going to come through. Wow, dang. Oh, yeah, true badasses, they don't actually die in survival mode. No, they love ventral vagal mode and bliss and delight. So we will be back with how to work through those lovely emotional depths of our lovely hearts and minds and everything. So again, welcome aboard to those who are joining IHP. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you know anybody who loves being a true self and mindfulness and spirituality and all of that, which involves being in the enlightenment soul age group and or moving into the enlightenment frequency of love, again and again and again, please send them over. We like to make fun of those who do not want to do emotions, because they think that doing emotions means you get the drift. I'm just teasing now. So thanks for stopping by.